Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former world champion Zerg in the red, the Executioner. It's Rogue. Up against another former world champion, the Terran in the blue, Micro Jackson. It's ByuN. A best of 3 Terran versus Zerg showdown to determine the final qualifier for the Masters Coliseum, the last tournament of 2024. And if Masters is something you always dreamed of but could never achieve, allow me to present something more reasonable. Smashing that like button, and maybe even subscribing. Jimmy, what are we at? Jimmy, what? 1,491 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Reaper comes in to flirt with the drones on the map. ByuN got the Reaper nerf not once, but twice, and finally back in the pool as he tries for thrice. Queen's not out yet, so the Zerglings will have to bear the brunt of it. And already a third hatchery from Rogue. A very quick third hatch, making use of the 25 mineral cheaper hatcheries. Of course, a little more painful, the 25 mineral more expensive queens, but queenflation has been rising across the world. And now, oh, a shark! Sorry, a shark. Oh. You know the Zerg should get access to this. I feel like with Neural Parasite later on. We'll keep tabs on the space shark here. I'm always amused that in order to create a shadow of a shark underwater here, the simplest solution was just add a shark. So, Reaper coming in. Managed to pick off two Zerglings. Twice as many Zerglings as a moment ago. Does that matter? Not really. But keeping tabs on how many drones, as well as the creep spread early on, is going to be a big part of determining what you do as Terran. Now, it might look the same almost every single game, like Reapers, Hellions, Banshees. And that's because it is. But what you do with it is more important. It's not what you have, it's how you use it. And some players, like Clem, for example, will always, well, one, if they're up against a gasless build, very likely Clem's going to run by with the Hellions. Because there's not going to be Zerglings with speed, and even if there are Roaches not known for their speed either. At least not on hatch tech. Oh my god, there's still a shark. Much higher up than the Overlord. But ByuN seems to be comfortable sitting on the edge of the creep. He's actually split his Reaper off to the left side, and is keeping the Hellions on the right. So keeping the creep tamped down. Keeping the creep suppressed for as long as possible is usually a laudable goal, especially if you're going to be following up with a big sort of marine tank push. And Marines and tanks very strong on this map, where the 4th base can potentially be sieged from the outside, and then you get to the high ground and the inner 4th base. There's not a lot of great options for Zerg to take a 4th if they're not able to grab map control early on. But Rogue is very well known for unorthodox and oppressive strategies, both throughout his career and recently, which I guess also counts, but Hellions find the Roaches. The Queen slipping into the wall with an evolution chamber as well. A Reaper grenade might be able to bounce it out of the way, but she's standing tall for now. Triple Evo chamber. I think the Evo chamber at the front just to block, and then double Evo in the main. Not too much of an investment to make sure that your drones don't get incinerated too early on. Couple Banshees, no cloak. I believe he faked the cloak for the benefit of the Overlord on the other side of the map, but so far, not much past it. 4th base will be taken in that front location on the high ground. Banshee slipping in, but so far both sides building up, and with the rush distance and the defensive ability, with the ramps and the choke points on this map, you're not surprised to see 69 drones as a nice baseline economy from Rogue, and continuing SCV production, as well as a 3rd command center out of ByuN. The Queen's Brenda! You had one job! Well, you have like 8 jobs, but one job was to put the creep on the... Susan, you know it was your day to put the creep on the ramp, all right? We switch off. You're right, Brent. I'm sorry. I apologize. You couldn't come up with anything funnier for the end of that bit, could you? infestation pit on the way. Banshees get a drive-by. 4 of the drones as well, but one of them picked off. Bit odd not to invest in Cloak at all, but saves 100, but he doesn't save the Banshee. Can the Hellions get in there? Questions for the philosophers, and also more like mathematicians, but it's kind of a weird... I know you can block it with the Queen, not that it would be too meaningful getting drone kills when Rogue already has 77 of them, but... Lurker Den is already on the way. Armory halfway there. Hellions join back up with the army, and Hellbats can be a helpful part of tanking the damage, though without Lings and Banes to contest, not nearly as effective. Only one siege tank, 1-1, is completed for ByuN. And now his Marines are on the run. And Rogue, his upgrade's not quite done. So this attack is not going to be a lot of fun. And so far, the Hive Tech and the Vision, he has none, but now it's finally time for the Roaches to see the light of the sun. Groove Spine's done. Roach Speed done. 1-1 as well. Splits and goes straight for the tanks. Taking big hits, though, and the Marines are able to chew through a bunch of the Roaches. Hydra's behind, ping cushioning more. The Hellions run by. Finally getting into the main. I anticipated this like 4 minutes ago, but here we are now. There's some of the drones pulled, the ritual sacrifices. 5 drones in total, and now the siege tank is getting into position underside the 4th base. 7 drones so far, but more will be hit. And taking out the Spore Crawler, which might do more damage, but has significantly less HP with the new patch, so... Is he gonna try to save the tank? And he gets it! Slips up to the high ground, but may have to just run out from there. Rogue down to 75 drones, but he's got Vipers in production. Zergling speed as he shifts kind of more into a mobile composition. And ByuN picks up and heads... Well, he's got 4 medevacs loaded up full of Marines and siege tanks, which... A dangerous proposition. The Banshee trying to get involved as well. But there will be Vipers, and there will be Lurkers, and those Lurkers will most certainly have range. Which... This could be a recipe for unmitigated disaster for ByuN. But if Rogue is out of position, of course... he could be taking a lot of damage. And get over here! The Viper's doing a lot. The Spore Crawler's taking out many of the medevacs. The Queen's going to be gunned down. But Rogue is given some time to reposition. The Roaches and Hydras in an awkward position. Viper 1 goes down. Blinding Cloud, though, in the mineral line. Makes life difficult and is able to transfuse it. Cleans up the siege tank. And so far, ByuN has been beaten back, but not beaten down. A hectic exchange so far. Both players 165 supply. As ByuN finishes his 2-2 upgrades, Rogue has making full use of those triple Evo chambers. And now, Ghosts in production. Ghosts now 3 supply apiece. But ByuN's not maxed out, so not going to worry too much about it. Lurkers eviscerating anything that comes close, and Rogue's very first, but probably not last changelings have been sent out onto the map. As Rogue, the pioneer, and still really the only player using the mass changeling style. And he's getting pneumatized carapace, adrenal glands, +2 ranged missile attacks, +2 Zerg carapace, +1 melee attack, tunneling claws, and burrow. And a partridge and a pear tree. As Rogue gets the rest of the upgrades that he wants for this ground-based unit composition, the one thing I'm not seeing is a Baneling nest and Baneling speed. I do wonder what he's waiting for on that. Kind of surprising to see Zerglings without speed. He's even going for the adrenal glands, but no Nidus yet, no mass overseer, just enough to make sure he has vision reliably. And that siege tank, no! Unsieges, but that won't save it, but he baits in the Vipers. 1, 2, 3 down and knocks out a couple Lurkers as well. There are 9 more Overlords in production, so you know where this is going. The Oversight Committee is coming together. And Rogue, you may have taken a bit of a bloody nose there to those high-powered sniper rifles, but he's still got plenty of spines to power through. The Lurkers and the Hydras in position. ByuN in a very awkward spot to engage right now. As the Lurkers between a rock and a hard place. All those upgrades coming together. Rogue was able to deny the center base, and that's probably the most important part of all this. Double Nidus network is on the way, as Rogue once again looks to circumvent 11 Overseers. Wow. And Tunneling Claws. He's added a new dimension to this sort of ultra late game play. And it's not ultras, because ultras, as most players have agreed, are kind of terrible. But roaches with Tunneling Claws as another option to make them useful. He wanted the burrow for, well, really everything, but infestors maybe later on. There's the Baneling Nest as well. Roaches taken out, mostly freeing up supply. Kind of crazy he'll build so many Overseers, even before maxing out reliably. He only has 250 gas in the bank. He's not even maxed. But Rogue knows what he wants. And the mass changeling style, it's kind of a mental victory, too. It's almost impossible to take out that many changelings. Even you can right-click them, and siege tanks will take them out en masse, but it is a tax on the APM. Kind of like sending out liberators or single drops for Terran. Rogue has found a way to do the same thing, but it doesn't even cost supply. In fact, Overseers provide supply. And now the Lurkers have turned the turntables as DJ Rogue is slicing up the mineral line. The Banshee! Well, there's plenty of detection, not that it needs it here. Double Nidus in the main. An armory, well, a lot of upgrades vulnerable. Multiple orbital commands, a single tank sieging. Meanwhile, counterattack. Ghosts and Marines and Marauders, oh my. Not too many medevacs with them, though. Are there any Lurkers back at home to defend? There are no Lurkers in the base of ByuN either, as this counterattack seems to have dragged enough attention. Those aren't real Marines. Marines sitting in the back corner. Where are the medevacs for this army, though? Meanwhile, the Overseers and a handful of Lurkers in the center of the map. ByuN has that small strike force finally healing up outside Rogue's base. Nidus is scattered throughout the midfield. The main base was cleaned up as both sides kind of go back to their quarters, but he has 21 Overseers already. Oh, so many changelings. Gunning down more, but using this time to take down changelings. One, they'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. Marine taken down. The changelings providing vision reliably. The Overseers continue to undulate their way past. A zoning planetary, actually one of the easier ways to take out changelings because it has that splash damage and will hit any changelings nearby. How many Vipers? All the Vipers are dead. EMPs the Overseers, which there's no other spellcasters. It's explicitly for them. Dropping out on top of the Lurkers, the Ghost trying to line up shots. A bit of an awkward angle. Rogue coming all the way back home to defend. Meanwhile, ByuN's going for all the building upgrades as well. 15 more Lurkers on the way. Rogue is, oh, well, he's going to have more Lurkers than anything else but maybe Overseers. 24 Lurkers? I believe, let me plug this into my calculator here. That is 1 fuck ton of Lurkers. Wow. Nidus won't make it. Siege tank +2 attack is done. Building armor almost all the way there as we're settling into a more supreme late game scenario. ByuN, 5 bases. He's locked down this entire kind of quadrant of the map, which is something you could definitely do here. Changelings on top of the siege tanks, now having to put out fires in his own main. Overseer count has been maintained at 21, but he's going up to 29 now, as Rogue is sending all of his gas into Overseers. Is it a good idea? I'm not sure. Is it a great idea for entertainment? You're gonna have to. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down, sorry? I think ByuN may have shot one of his own Marines. I think we're at the stage of the game where you want to phase Marines out of your composition so you know where the changelings are. Oh, wow. The Lurkers will burrow, but for however many there are, about a quarter of them taken out before they can get anywhere close. 10 Lurkers taken down, taking the wrong path down to the center of the map, and the siege line just punches into them. 3 Vipers on the way, as Rogue can't find a way into the base besides the front door. And now he's knocking. whipping out another few dozen changelings. And I've actually... Here's a professional tip, side note. I managed to increase the FPS in-game. The one tip I found that I never even thought of was sound quality and channels. I did reduce the sound quality to medium and the sound channels to just 64 as opposed to 128, which actually was the biggest FPS increase I've seen in years of tweaking my settings on everything. So if you have issues, like if you're a 4v4 Direct Strike player and you have FPS issues, try that one out. My gabbers were flasted, all right? My flabbers were You know what? It was a big... It felt really dumb, but still, it worked out. Cloak is optimistic when this rogue has an entire bureaucratic complex of oversight here. ByuN. Now, the vision range of the overseers is... No, it's longer than the range of snipe. It has to be, as we clearly saw there. Ooh, the Vipers, though, they get a few freebies, but eventually killed off themselves. 2 Spires on the way, as Rogue, uncharacteristically slowing the game down. A fusion core is in production for ByuN over in his kind of complex here. How many command centers are we at? There are 8 orbital commands, 3 planetaries. He's building 1 or 2 more. Viper's yanking in some more tanks, but he doesn't have high ground vision, and the lurkers are getting knocked out as well. So far, Rogue has lost 2,000 more gas and 2,000 more minerals. Not devastating yet. About 1 gas or more of gas. I need it. Gas. You gotta step up. Ghost trying to get more done, but the floor is lurkers right now. Nidus is all over the place as this turns more and more to the final mission of the Wings of Liberty campaign. Changelings everywhere. The actual real-life Marine count is... Oh my god, he shot his own siege tank, I want to say. If the Changelings get close enough, the friendly fire isn't. Another orbital trying to get in the way of things, but the lurkers do have high ground vision with the flock of overseers. I literally can't even see. I don't know how you click on them. With ghosts or with siege tanks trying to target fire. If the overseers are at exactly the right spot, it feels like they'll just absorb the snipes. But so far... Oh, Banelings! Banelings, remarkably ineffective against the ghosts and marauders there, with siege tanks to back them up. We have another 58 Zerglings and 10 Hydras on the way. The ghost firing off more shots. The overseer count, 29. Are you telling... He's only lost 1? That feels like... That feels inappropriate. Another wave of command centers will be built and landed. I think he's just going to build planetaries throughout this. As the turtle shell is hard... Oh! Nuclear missile is in production as well. ByuN trying to expand to another base. Rogue has had the income lead, but not nearly as much as you might think for quite a while. These command centers are canceled. The lurker's on the ground. He has to pick up and get out. More ghosts eviscerated. As Rogue builds more and more of a bank. ByuN is mined out of his main natural and is working on the 3rd. It's about to run out of gas and minerals within the next minute, which will leave him with 2 bases. Rogue has the rest, for the most part. ByuN desperately needs this base. I don't think there's any other base you can realistically take. Of course, Rogue is quite aware of that. The changelings all spontaneously die. Liberators on the way. Trying to land the naked command center so we can get a planetary. The army supply, 136 to 109. That ghost supply increase, maybe, wait, is that a Reaper? There's no way that's the Reaper from earlier, right? No, he accidentally rebuilt a Reaper. Liberators being yanked in, some ghosts being taken down, a couple more Liberators into the maw of everything. Nuclear launches detected to the south side. Did Rogue even notice in the midst of all this? It's directly on a base full of drones, which could be well worth it, but he noticed. And what is he doing? 37 mute. I don't care about the nuke. 37 mutas. Are you high? Well, the anti-air is just the ghosts and some Liberators and several dozen turrets. Is it... Okay, well, here we go. The murder of mutas is coming in. He's just gonna try to kill the ghosts outright. Those are 3/3 ghosts, though. He picks some of them up. He has enough. It's only 1-1 in the air, though he's working on more. The massive muta switch combined with a flock of overseers. But now we have Liberators doing actual anti-air attacks, which is a... Check that one off your bingo card. More ghosts coming out. 3 Thors in production. 6 Liberators on the way. What? Wow. This is... Yeah, I think it's working. ByuN has no money in the bank. The mutas have swept the anti-air off the field. The only anti-air was the ghosts and turrets. And that's just not enough. The mass changelings are chasing things down. And finally, Rogue gambled pretty much all of his bank. He's now rebuilt some of it, but he gambled nearly all of his bank on the mutas getting the job done. And so far, they're working hard at it. But the missile turrets are not small in number. The turrets per minute is remarkably high. More lurkers being taken out. Thors have joined the composition. The army supply is still much higher for ByuN. There's Lings and Banes on the way. He got knocked off his base on the low ground, but there's plenty of command centers to replace it. But the flock of mutas, 33 mutas. I can't. I really thought he was just throwing the game, but it appears with literally no anti-air but ghosts, it might be the winning composition. This is Rogue in a nutshell, all right? He could have sat there and probably bled him out for another 15 minutes, but instead, he just holds down the muta key and lets it ride. Well, okay, well, there is one problem. He didn't kill him. ByuN, now, it's certainly not good for ByuN. Let us make no mistake. He is broke, he is not maxed out, and he has no idea what Rogue is going to hit him with next. Surprised this command center is still sitting down. But, of the unit composition, he has 12 siege tanks, 12 Liberators, and 4 Thors. And Rogue does not have Neural Parasite nor a singular Infestor. And now his army is pretty much every muta he could build in a handful of Ling Bane. Oh, the changelings are trapping in a Thor. I can't tell if this is we're gonna find out parasitic bomb with the Liberators. Oh my god! The Zerganity! Every single muta gets obliterated! Obliterated! From this... No. No. Let this be a lesson! Let this be a lesson. We must. Just instant replay. The parasitic bomb does damage fast, but the Liberators... Oh my. 31 mutas for 4 Liberators. The changelings are... Well, the changelings do not affect the libs. And now, Rogue only has 2k gas in the bank. I say only, like, that's not a lot. And, well, okay. I don't know if it's better or worse, but the changelings are physically walling in the Thors. So... Like... He literally can't move. This is some Bronze League Heroes Euthermal Challenge sort of... Like, 2 Thors are pinned up by the... He's hurting his own Thors to escape. The Olympic Rings of Liberation are coming together. I still think Rogue is in a winning position, but losing an entire base of gas and mutas in several seconds. It's not a good idea. He lost 52 mutas, 5,200 gas of mutas. And now ByuN. Well, Parasitic Bomb will kill a couple. Yeah, a couple Liberators. ByuN is broke. He's spending everything. And, well, how much is actually under here? That's a lot of Ling Bane, but the tanks on the high ground are helping out the Overseers over everything. And the Thors, well, it's... Of all the fights I've ever seen, this is certainly one of them. The Changelings were making it hard for the Lings and Banes to get involved. Well, yeah, we're gonna have to look at this tab. ByuN killed 7,700 minerals and 2,100 gas. Rogue 4,416. Now, Rogue has way more in the bank. And he's now building dozens of Corruptors and Zerglings. Why is he getting an infestation pit? Did he consume his infestation pit to death or something? Like, how did the infestation pit die? He's now building 14 swarm hosts. Check that one off too. So Richard and his band of brethren. I think the swarm hosts make a lot more sense than the mutants in this scenario. But ByuN is starting to cave under the weight of Rogue's economic sledgehammer. Still 25 overseer. A Nidus. And ByuN just has nothing left after all the fire and fury. And pretty much every Zerg unit besides the Ultras. I guess no Broodlords either. He doesn't even have a Greater Spire. That's the next phase, but I don't think ByuN will survive this one. Changelings drawing fire. Rogue has now mined over half the map. And he's working on ByuN's bases as well. ByuN's army supply is still dangerous despite everything. The swarm host waves. Here come some Lings and Banes as well. There's not that many SCVs left. The Banelings having trouble closing the distance. He may survive yet longer. Another wave of swarm hosts. The Locusts are raining down. The siege tanks are working against ByuN now. Another ghost dies. The supply at 114. The orbital will never hit the ground. At least in one piece. We're down to 7 orbital. Okay, he still has plenty of orbitals, but ByuN just gonna try to move out. Rogue still has the bank. 10,000 minerals. What? Oh my. Would you die already? ByuN, those Hellbats actually amazing against the swarm host. The Locusts are doing nothing. Okay, wait a second. The ghosts are way out in front. No, that's a big mistake. He cloaks the ghosts. First time that's been useful in a while. He might actually be able to clear out this base, though Rogue is behind about... Oh no. He still has the gas. Rogue still has like 6 bases of gas mining. Well, 4 bases. Enough. That the mules have dropped and brought ByuN's income comparable for the first time in like over 10 minutes as we pass the half-hour mark. Oh. Another wave. I think the swarm hosts were... I love the Muta choice, but it also seemed like one of the only ways to throw. The Lings and Banes are coming in. The Blue Flame Hellbats are helping out, but he tries a Hellbat drop, picks up some of it. The Changelings to box him in. There's actually nothing for the Corruptors to shoot. And ByuN continues. Oh my, well, there go the ghosts. GG. 600 Zerglings, 50 mutas, 37 lurkers, 130,000 resources, and then some later. Wait, yeah, close enough. Oh my. Rogue eventually overpowers ByuN. The mutas, I appreciate. Like, as a muta enthusiast myself, I was full of concern, and I think that concern was proven to be well-founded. But I appreciate it nonetheless. But with that said, Rogue will go out to an arduous one-game lead as we head into El Dorado. Another map full of interesting potential builds. I like Rogue coming out with the tower defense Zerg there. He has so much economy. He just throws out... Now notice, I don't know if this is a matter of principle or just how he likes to play, but no ultras, no broodlords. Rogue will go mutas and swarm hosts before ultras or broods. Which, honestly, I think in that position he drew out Thors and plenty of ghosts. Broodlords don't really make sense. And ultras never make sense. Seems to be the consensus. Like, pretty much, when you're far ahead and you want to lose, in the words of Hydra, you make ultras. With the ultras being embiggened yet again, going off their diet plan, it makes it very hard to actually close the distance, especially with an entrenched Terran who's playing city skylines as opposed to moving out of their base. I think if they nerfed the speed and they gave them their push priority and didn't enlarge them again, the ultras may find a place, but right now it truly feels like the ultras just... anything else would be better for the same price. And that is unfortunate. Those ultras are a lot of fun. And I love the size of them, alright? I like them larger. Say hi to your mother. But it's just unwieldy. Again, 3 hatch before gas from Rogue as he mines through the Golden Wall, which this map is directly inspired by. There's a reason it's called El Dorado. Zerglings on the chase. So far, the Reaper just playing hard to get. It always does. Queen, inject first. Very interested to see what Rogue does here. I would be surprised if ByuN does much more. Like, he's already got the factory on the way. It's not going to be some very quick... Oh my, he's just going to take the low ground base. Did the Overlord spot this? There's a chance, because ByuN built the 3rd command center there, on the low ground, that Rogue will send in the Overlord and not actually spot it. Not a high chance, I think, but it's there. Creep tumor jammed into the corner. Trying to box out that Reaper for now. I would say, how do you even follow up that game? But both these players have played 30-plus minute games multiple times in a single series and seem no worse for the wear. Or maybe the wear is something that happens over time after thousands of games, and that's why they're playing 30-plus minute games. But I digress. There's a different feel to it. Like, Dark and Rogue are both kind of strong-willed Zergs who don't respect the meta necessarily. Really? Stand right there, Billy. Okay, okay. Whoa, 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 guys, guys. Okay. I like to live dangerously, but not that dangerously. Come on. Sorry. But Rogue just has this. Dark may play the villain, but Rogue is one. That's what I feel. Like, Dark will play up kind of like the heel in wrestling or whatever. Whereas Rogue is just... he's just a villain. He wants to win, and he doesn't care how he does it. Or maybe he does, but he doesn't play by the same rules you do. He's over here making Mass Overseer, Muta, Swarm Host. When all of those three things, I can't remember if Cyril's even ever done it in the late game of this matchup. Maybe that's what it takes to beat Clem. Rogue's done it, but I do think it's partially because of it's such a weird style that the first or second or even third time you face it, you're kind of at a loss. And then you start winning. But so far, ByuN doesn't seem to have picked up the answer quite yet. He's got that third base. He's got some... Billy! Job's finished. No. No. Okay. Thank you. Come on. Alright. 3 SCVs dead to the Banshee. Nope. That would be unfortunate. 3 drones, that is. Stim pack completed. And now, Rogue is adding on roach speed, Zergling speed +1, ranged attack, and carapace. Whereas ByuN's working on his 1/1 as well. His armor is actually way quicker than his +1 weapons. Interesting. Chasing down the Hellions. Nidus kind of rush? The Nidus network is on the way, but well, he's going to have a lot of roaches and access to that gold base, at least the backside of it, which is a bit of an income boost. The Banshee even existing still is a big deal here for ByuN, especially if he's able to scout it. The gold base will be mining. Interesting choice. Slipping in with the Overlord. There needs to be enough roaches to actually fight the army. Unless he's able to get that Nidus in. And the Nidus network is done. He's going to slap it down in the corner. Spots the double drop. Nidus in the main. And what he doesn't know very much can hurt him. At least for ByuN. He's going to hear the scream. What's in there? No queens, just some roaches for now, but here we go. And the attack at the front, but 3 siege tanks in position will be enough to drive back the front line. The Marines are sprinting up to the high ground, going for the reactor on the starport. He's in behind the mineral line, going to kill some of the SCVs, but the siege tanks from the low ground can help. Has to be careful in that positioning. Will he commit everything into this? Now, it's already too late not to. Guns down the Nidus. Another Nidus is on the way. 22 SCVs dead. The starport itself may just be killed. He's able to lift it off just barely in time. Working on the add-ons, just going straight for the factory, actually, but a siege tank manages to siege up. There's a couple Marauders in the composition. Reinforcements streaming through the Nidus network. And right now, a tenuous connection, but he's able to maintain it. The main base is now Rogues. The command center is hit by corrosive by the SCVs! And, oh, what a save! He's able to save the command center. That's a huge deal. Probably shouldn't have gotten that low in the first place, but the SCVs come up to the high ground. The Roaches and Ravagers continue their exchange. Now, back at home, Rogue is still mining pretty comfortably. He still has a decent economy, but he hasn't progressed his upgrades at all. He doesn't have a hive on the way. A lot of those roaches are taking critical damage from the siege tanks. The Banshee's helping out, and ByuN is thinning out the roaches and Ravagers, but more of them at the front, on top of the siege tanks. Again, just lambasting the roaches and Ravagers. He actually only takes out 1 tank. A costly exchange. Another command center shut down, but that Banshee still helping out. That Banshee has added so much damage. And the final tally, at least for now, ByuN killing 5,200 to resources, 5,200, 1,900. Wow, Rogue only killed 3,000 minerals and 150 gas. So a lot of relatively expensive units for mostly superficial damage to ByuN. It looks painful, but he still maintained his command center. He has most of his production. He even saved the starport. So ByuN still has production here. And Rogue doesn't really have any late game options. He has to go again. And the Ravagers are working their way forward, but there's 4 tanks. The siege line is devastating. And the Marines and Marauders will chase down the Ravagers. That Banshee still helping out. The field runs red with the blood of mostly Zerg at this stage. And with Ravagers turning around trying to exchange fire with the Marines. The medevacs are nearly out of energy. The only mistake that ByuN can make now is, wow, the rush distance is just tiny. They're all jammed in here. The Marines still not healed up to full, but +2 upgrades are about to complete. ByuN actually has more workers. He's dropping mules. He has a 4th command center nearly completed in the main. The fact that Rogue is mining from that gold base is what's keeping him going here. That is the reason he's able to keep his supply at this level. But for how long? And at what cost? Sitting back, trying to bait ByuN into a bad fight. That Banshee still hasn't been repaired. 13 kills. No respect for the Banshee ByuN. Don't even know if he realizes he still has it. The minimal creep getting cleared up even more. And even a single drop is going to drag a lot of the potential supply away. ByuN is nearly maxed. Rogue is there, and he's working on 2-2, but if the army supplies are even, the unit compositions are not. Rogue looking to try another round. Those siege tanks, that's so many tanks. His 2-2 upgrades are finishing, but the start of the fight happened without him. A rough start indeed. The Ravagers getting caught up. The Roaches getting obliterated. The Marines and Marauders holding the line. The siege tank count is far too high. The SCVs are pulled. Yes, a few tanks will die. 14 SCVs go down, and Rogue tries to trade out. This is just not an army that ages. Well, in this case at all. ByuN lost SCVs, he lost Marines and Marauders, but the siege tank count is still there. The medevac count is still there. And Rogue does not have a hive. He doesn't even have Hydras. So, unless ByuN unsieges all the tanks and walks into the Roach Ravager, this is almost a foregone conclusion. He's trying. Continues scattering corrosive bow, but ByuN mining from the gold. Rogue has taken the southern gold base. That's the kind of play that needs to be made at this stage, I feel. Ooh, corrosive bow still helping out. But the Marines are denying the gold to the north. Well, shotgunning out some more biles. Kills a few of the SCVs. ByuN also killing some drones with the drop. There's almost no anti-air left to deal with this. Brenda, call the Roaches! Call them, they don't, oh my, Rogue going forward. And corrosive bile still raining down, but ByuN stutter stepping into them and past them, easily gunning down the Roaches and Ravagers. 30 SCVs are taken down. But it's still just Roaches and Ravagers. Well, the Ravager's a danger. There's the option for a Nidus still in the main, and Rogue will take it. +1 melee. He's dipping into the Nidus. ByuN can't actually see it there. And guess who's back? Back again. Oh, Rogue is back, but he's not at his gold base, unfortunately. So again, we're going into a base trade. I'm not sure if this is better or worse for Rogue, as he barely has any units at home. Of course, he can come back through the Nidus. Takes out the factory. Rogue's mining is... oh, it's a roller coaster right now in general. More supply depots take it out. Of course, the ramp is quite a choke point to come through into mass Ravager. ByuN just splitting out of the way. Gonna siege up one of the tanks. And he goes right back through the Nidus. Rogue is starting to turn this. Though again, the income is in a very uncomfortable spot. The Roach Ravager still coming around. +3 infantry weapons is nearly completed. ByuN picks up the double medevac drop and heads over to the left side, farthest away from the majority of the Zerg. Another bulwark of supply depots out in front. And Rogue is back up to 184 to just 149 supply because so many depots died. He's actually supply bought, but the SCVs are full. Vials across the board, knocking out 2 of the tanks, but +3 infantry weapons is done. And ByuN stutter steps forward. He edges back, and it's just Roaches and Ravagers. But the medevacs are nearly out of energy. The Ravagers are just evaporating, though. He finally reaches that critical mass. The attack at the front came in as well. There was nothing back at home to defend. And Rogue dragged that so much further than I ever thought he could. And possibly should. But at the end of the day, 173 Roaches dead. And we're all tied up, 1-1. Wow. What a game. These two. Just laying into one another. Absolutely constant. So there's the build-up phase. They have the classic Bronze League Heroes level. No rush. And by no rush, I mean Reapers and Hellions just kind of going back and forth. And then the battle begins and pretty much doesn't end until someone's completely on the floor. Rogue is using the Maru portrait in-game, I want to add. I don't think we can see it in the game, but in the load screen. I feel like that's offensive. As someone who notoriously has beaten Maru multiple times, and he's playing against ByuN, who is a Terran. I don't know how calculated that is, but I think that adds to the villainous that's a word. That's a real word. And if it isn't, it is now. The villainous nature of Rogue. I don't blame him for doing the big Roach Ravager on the low ground. In fact, ByuN almost broke to it. Not really taking advantage of the medevacs as much as maybe he could, but Rogue has a tendency to be dangerous at all times. And getting jammed up against Corrosive Bile has been the death of many a Terran. Thank you again to Masters Coliseum for sending me the games as well. Make sure to check it out over, if you're watching this before I have 10 million subscribers in 2026 and you're wondering how we got there and the epic games that led us to that moment, if you happen to be watching it instead the day it's released or the next few weeks, well then Masters Coliseum will be most of the days for the next few weeks. Tens of thousands of dollars on the line. Cyril, whichever of these players wins this game will qualify, the other will not. Though I don't know if there's another opportunity or not, so they might. I'm not sure which qualifier this is. But Cyril and Clem and Maru already in. So it is a kind of a GSL style tournament. And I believe the top 8 will actually be headed to a LAN tournament. I think it's in China early next year. So quite an involved, I was going to say ordeal, but that's not really the right wording. But quite an involved setup there. Probably the biggest tournament, well, I was reading that. Probably the biggest tournament announced. And by that I mean the only tournament. Sort of weird time in StarCraft 2. It's kind of implied that there will be more tournaments, major tournaments like I Am Katowice, the Esports World Cup. But we don't know right now. And if, for some reason, it ends up being that there aren't, well, we'll figure it out as we go along. And I will still be supporting, and hopefully the community, at least some smaller tournaments. It'll be hard to match the sort of prize pools. So, unfortunately, that means less players overall, but I'm hoping for the best. And you guys being here at all and supporting me casting pretty much every day. The fact that I can find a series of this quality, of this caliber, to cast every single day. And honestly, I could probably do 2 or 3 a day, and without reducing it much. Especially if you guys will continue to support mirror matchups. But it's a great thing. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your great comments, most of them. Your comments are amazing. That other guy or girl or AI, but I do read them. I do appreciate them. And I'm a bit pretentious and don't always respond. But thank you for watching. Okay, how many more minutes do I need to fill? We're on Neon Violet Square, which means that even more than usual, we're gonna sit back and relax as both players have taken the pocket base, which has 2 gas geysers, only 4 mineral patches, but 2 gas geysers allow a significant amount of tech-based shenanigans without really the level of risk you'd usually be exposed to going for 3 bases of gas in the first 5 minutes. Rogue with a roach farm. Filtering through the neon violet squares. ByuN sending those aliens across. Fourth base. Not even gonna bother, but the queen. You shall not. Oh, they're gone. Okay. I had a whole bit. Very good. Very good. Don't be condescending, Susan. Oh, that means talking down to you, which you have to because you can't fly anymore. Susan, you bit. Lair's on the way. More roaches. Rogue seems intent on sticking with the roaches. Oh, the grenade? But I think he spotted the roach and thought better of trying to pop the queens out of the way. Banshee cloak is completing. Rogue is already up to 55 drones and counting. So, quite a healthy economy. Multiple more barrack. Really just hurry up and wait sort of game. As those banshees add on. The old new maps. I am still it's a bit of a head scratcher. The fact we added 3 old maps, all of which are well known for being sit back and build 4 bases sort of maps. Abyssal Reef, King's Cove, and Neon Violet Square. But I guess we get our dramatic macro games then, so who doesn't love those? Banshees hunting. The queen's in position to box him out, though. Yep. Couple more drones dead. Another dozen on the way, though. 80 drones at 6 minutes. Only about 6:30. Hydraless Den, Infestation Pit, Roach Speed. As ByuN actually goes back with his Hellions. Not sure why he's going all the way back home with his Hellions, but maybe to join up with the Marines and do an all-out push. 82 drones, 65 SCVs. Going up to the Octo-Rax timing. So it's going to be Roach Hydra and very likely Lurker up against your more typical Marines, Marauders. Does he even have a tank? No. No tanks at all. Just Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. The M&M build. That ByuN has loved for how many years? StarCraft 2? 14 and a half years now. But that Lurker Den is at a dangerous time. The Lurker Den will very well be done by the time... Not the first army comes across, but by the time +2 upgrades. Or any sort of counter. Like Rogue with some of the fastest range lurkers you can get while still having this sort of economy. And now ByuN is only halfway across the map as the Lurker Den is completing. The hive is nearly there. There's plenty of Roach Hydra. The only advantage here for ByuN is the mobility of the Medevacs. But there's already spores in the main, looking to box out exactly that. He's got some Roach Hydra on the low ground. Hive is done. The roaches and hydras looking. And that's just too much. Like, he just can't do anything here. The double drop headed towards the main. Rogue has sprinted up to Hive Tech. And he's going to have lurker range momentarily. He's already building the lurkers. ByuN needs to get damage done now. He's building a Ghost Academy back at home. He's getting a 5th base. Some slowlings caught in the squares. The Vipers are also a critical component of this. Though without siege tanks involved, it's not as critical. The Roach Hydra can deal with this. Surprising that the Widowmine actually managed. You don't have Zergling speed, Rogue. Then again, the purpose of this... Oh no! A full medevac taken down. And more Roach Hydra to box out of the north side as well. Still no Zergling speed from Rogue, but the Zerglings are just there to get in the way of things and make it more difficult. Not that he's trying to save money by skipping Ling speed, he just forgot it, but we're not giving him that much benefit of the doubt. The 2 sets of rocks, which, yeah, it is not 1, but 2. It's just 2, right? Okay. 4 ghosts on the way. Our Rogue is starting to bank. How many Overseers? Only 2 for now. Well, we're already... And he's sending out Roaches because Roaches are the most mediocre of units. He wants to replace them ideally with Hydras, Lurkers, Vipers. Anything but Roaches at this stage of the game. But you don't just want to kill off your own units, so going for a straight counterattack could very well be the ticket. And he might even catch some of the Ghosts. That's a huge win this early. 1, just spotting the Ghosts. They don't have Cloak. One of them will be just murdered on the spot. The Roaches are getting in. The entire army's coming back to defend. This is going to open up the entire map. And Rogue can go forward. I see no reason why he wouldn't. He's adding more Hydras. He didn't actually see the rest of the units come by, even though he's chasing it down here. Adrenal glands on the way. Gets into the back line. Eight SCVs dead. Not... wow. Okay, so Rogue's not even going to bother. He's just turtling up. He's adding Spore Crawlers at the front with the Lurkers behind. He's got 11 more Overseers on the way. Here we go again. ByuN thinking about splitting to fight Lurkers, which is a terrible idea. Even if there weren't Spore Crawlers here. He does not really have... well, with the Ghosts, maybe. He can cover for them. There's a Nidus. There's 5 more command centers on the way. So ByuN clearly not locked into this composition. The Ghosts actually well covered there by the Marines and Marauders. More Lurkers, though. And the parasitic bombs, and there's a Spore Crawler underneath. Multiple medevacs taken down. The Lurkers really starting to take quite a toll on the Bio army. As Rogue is able to drive this back. Multiple medevacs out of energy. The others overtaxed as well. 5 more command centers on the way, but ByuN is struggling to put 200 supply on the field. There's a fusion core finishing up. Caduceus reactor may actually be the first choice here. Medevac energy regen, the way things are going. Some more snipes, trying to line up those shots. Zerglings with speed, eats a Widowmine hit. More Lurkers diving forward. And 6 more Lurkers on the way. Where are you even going with those? The Overseers, he doesn't have enough energy to contaminate, which would be a hilarious yet probably ineffective strategy considering how much energy and how many Overseers are required. Caduceus reactor is the first choice. Gumiho teaching people the value of Caduceus reactor. But, oh, he's caught in the squares! Ah, the Nidus, it was just cover for a Nidus in the main base. Double Nidus! Yet again, as Rogue tries to brute force his way through, and there's a couple Widow Mines. He's bringing the rest of the army back, but the Lurkers, they'll eat the mine hits and they'll dunk down and start slicing through the main. The SCVs will be cut to shreds, I say. The Ghosts are having a tough time as well. The Overseers, another Nidus in the back of the, well, we'll call it the third base there. Another attack coming through. The Ghosts arcing out, looking for shots. The Hydra's covering for the Lurkers. He doesn't have detection for the rest. And the main base is crumbling. The back base is filled with changelings. The orbital has to lift. The Bio Army's moving out, but he's moving through Lurker fire. Loses another couple dozen supply. Zerglings overrunning. Enough energy for Parasitic Bomb. The army's caught on the field. He's gonna try to pick up the rest. He's gonna lose most of the metavacs. ByuN down 50 supply. The Lurker's still going to work. He's trying to put out the fires, but the entire base is burning. Oh, Rogue has gotten in, and he's not getting out. The planetary at the front completely obsolete. With this many Lurkers in the main, the Ghosts are finally cleaning things up. There's Zerglings at the front. There's Zerglings off to the side. There are more Niduses in the back. And Rogue claims GG as ByuN taps out. Oh, what an execution by the Executioner. And what a set of games as well. Going to the full-on macro brawl 3 games in a row, but Rogue actually showing a command over it. I like how we got a full demonstration of pretty much all the lesser seen late game options in game 1, and then a much more mid-game sort of brawl in games 2 and 3, but quite a slugfest. And that will be Rogue qualifying for the Masters Coliseum, joining Cyril and I assume Dark. Some of the only Zergs over there. But looking forward to it, and make sure to check it out if you get the opportunity as well over the next couple weeks. Or, of course, you can wait for some of the best games to find on one of your favorite channels. Oh, this one. This channel. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.